looking for was Pioneer. So I think they have Pioneer's budget. That'd be the Abrams group. I haven't heard back. Mark thought Matt had it and was working on it, but I just got back 2 days ago. And I had worked most of the days when I was down with my grandchildren, and I felt bad, so I actually spent the last 2 days with them, actually doing something.
You're allowed.
I'm too loud?
You're allowed to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my daughter was that was the only way. I was kind of glad in a way, because I don't know if I could have got all this stuff done if I was just home. There was just too many things. So I just set up there and played cards, went out to the water for a while and came back. I kept fitting it in.
Okay,
I even called David.
we're good with a quorum.
We are?
Super.
Yes,
Where
8.
are they?
One,
We
two,
need 8.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Michelle just joined us.
8.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, give me 1 second. I had a box of pens, old pens. I went through 6 of them. None of them wrote. So I'll be throwing them away. All right, let's call the meeting to order at 6:35. And we do have a quorum. We have 8 members here right now. And so I'll do a quick roll call vote. Greg Snedeker, Greg,
Yes.
and Alan is here, Alan Genovese, and Dorinda Bellup,
Here.
and Karen O'Neill,
Yes, here.
and Deb Potay.
Here.
Thanks, Deb.
Yep.
And Steve Richter.
I'm here.
Hey, did you have a good trip?
I did. It was beautiful.
Good. Ricter. And then Michelle.
Here. I'm in my car, just so you know, heading home. I'm leaving
Okay.
another meeting, so.
Oh, thank you for joining us. It allows us to have I don't know what's going to happen when you lose signal. You might lose signal for a bit, but we'll continue on and pick it up when you come back on. As long as no one challenges it.
Won't move.
All right. So, Greg, I was trying to look at so this meeting is being remote. We're recording it. Oh, are you recording it? Please tell me you were. It's
He's
being
recording.
recorded. All right, so the meeting is being recorded, and we will, people will have access to it. The agenda was posted accordingly, and I don't see anyone from the public here right now. We don't have reporters either. That's interesting. Chris Larrabee is no longer with the recording, I believe,
Yeah.
and he's going to be, I think his replacement started, and I think it's a female, and she's just getting her feet wet. Greg, were there minutes? I didn't see any.
Not yet, although the AI is helping, so I should be able to get some of those done fairly quickly.
All right, so I just put July 15th. Did we have July 1? Because I wasn't sure. I thought we did.
No, there's no minutes at this point. I would just,
But did you do July 1? Did we do those last time?
I can't remember.
No.
I don't think so.
Okay. I thought we did them, but okay. So they might be July 1, July 15th, and then this meeting. So let's go through the quick updates. So we had a meeting with Desi last week. It was Greg and I, Christine Lynch, Michelle Griffin, and Jay Berry. Greg, you want to do a quick review? Because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking here, and I'm going to try to move along quickly. So just sort of an update on what that's about.
Well, we went through the regional agreement that they had questions, which we answered, and we clarified some sections. I think that the main focus was on the school closing and how that would play out. They had questions regarding the how the baseline would be calculated in terms of, let's say they, gave it an example, like if Gil, it was voted by the school committee to be closed, then what would that look like in terms of establishing a baseline and what's included in terms of the operating costs? Is it Schedule 3 or Section 3, or is it, something else? We talked a little bit about transportation, if that should or should not be included. That seemed like it was very complicated to include that as a part of the operating cost, so that was separated out. But things like instructional cost was included. The added cost of keeping your principal and administration. And even, looking at insurance, the added cost of the increases in insurance and retirement liabilities. So that's being updated.
All right, so let me just recap that. So Schedule 3, those of you that are aware or not aware, that basically is all employee costs, instructional costs, employee costs. Then outside of that, there are additional costs like transportation, which you might figure out on a percentage or something like that. So where we left it is we are focusing on, and Jay is meeting with, which he hasn't, I talked to him today, but he's arranging a meeting with Steve and Mac to pretty much go back and use Schedule 3. They had gotten away with it and tried a few other things, but that's what we originally had it there. So do Schedule 3 and then look at what additional costs may be added to that. And then there'll be a meeting to resolve that. I asked Jay, I said, we really need to be moving this along. And I asked him to see if he could join us, be a part of our August 26th meeting so that we can go through the whole RA and look at any suggestions or anything that was in question by Desi or that was flagged and we need to have a conversation about. We can make those amendments. I think that's going to be fairly quick, and then go back and see how we're handling this school closure. Desi has moved, I think, a lot off this time. I remember years ago, it was like, oh, that's the school committee authority and that's the end of it. They don't take that position at all. I think they understand the importance of school being in its community, and that there needs to be a thorough process, and that and even where a number of people from the community participate extensively in that process. So so that will probably be the juggernaut that we need to make our way through. The other things I think will go pretty quickly. Anything else on that, Greg?
No, I think that covered it all.
Okay, and then let me just jump down for a minute to Jay. So I had been tasked to do a long-range plan.
Hey, Alan, Duranta has her hand up.
Where is that? Oh, there she is. Hi.
Yeah, so you're saying we would have something potentially by the 26th? Is that what they're saying? Like, I don't know what their turnaround is for edits, and then discussing those edits. I'm just sort of, I think, the towns are waiting. So, as long as we're communicating this to the select boards that are sort of waiting for us. Otherwise, I don't want to show up in September and say, hey, because I think we're still lacking visibility, which is frustrating people.
Yep. So I kind of, pushed the envelope today and just said, we need to get all these out of the way on the 26th. If there's one outstanding piece, that's fine, but we want to get this out to folks. And we might, even if we have to get it out to folks and working on this, if we haven't resolved it. But I kind of let them know, the clock is ticking and they need to get back to us. This is probably the single most important thing that we need to get out. The other thing, we need to have the answers to that prior to town meeting. We're doing forms and stuff, but this is the critical one. And the assessments. Mark and Matt know that's the other critical one. We need sooner than later.
And Montague wise, we can't vote unless we have a quorum. So we need, as advance notice as possible to set that date in November. Or else we just can't vote.
Um, so is there anyone that can look at a date in November and start looking at towns and see if, like with the town manager, I should know his Walter, would he be able to maybe talk to some folks and find out maybe two dates that would be good? And then maybe talk to the other town coordinators to talk to their boards and see what they can come up with. That'd be really helpful, Dorinda.
Yeah, if we're confirming that we are going to be ready for November, then, or even have the rough timeline, then yeah, I can reach out to Walter.
Yeah, let's see what you can come up with Walter on a potential, and then we can firm that up as we get information. Thank you. That's so helpful. And then just give me a call if there are different ideas bouncing around, and I can help out. Deb, I'm going to refer to you just for a second, because this is two issues she brought up. One of them was that she feels it was very, and I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth, Deb. If I understood her correctly, she felt it was probably pretty important to have some kind of childcare for the town meeting so that, people could attend. Did that come from you, Deb? Was that or no? And then someone else said it really should be on a Saturday. Carve it out, do it on a Saturday and get it done.
Yeah,
in a
that
weekend.
both of those were suggestions with the parents. I met with four parents, three all together and then one separately, and they all said it'd be so great if we were on a Saturday, and it'd be so great if there were childcare. And the parents I met with have had little kids, so for them, I think 7 o'clock is a terrible time. Only one parent if there were a couple, only one could come for a town vote, and that's why Saturday would be better so that both parents could vote. But that was, that's obviously it's a tiny slice of citizenship in our 4 towns, or I don't know how many towns we have left in the 6-town meeting, but planning board. But that's what they all said, because they have little children. But they were pretty passionate about wanting a Saturday and or childcare. So I guess if we were on a Saturday, they would definitely want childcare. And if it's going to be on an evening night at 7, perhaps no childcare, but only one could come because their kids would be heading to bed like by 8, and they would not come.
All right, so that's something I'll make a note that we've got to see if we get some folks in each town to provide childcare and see if we can get someone to pick that ball up. Now, the other question, when I was at Mohawk, I had 9 town meetings. Half of them were on Saturday, so I would bounce around to them. I wasn't a fan of that, but they did have childcare, and some of the meetings went all day. It was ridiculous. But where this is a really focused, it's about kids, it's about our education. And I'm hoping that all, the seniors and the people without kids, but grandkids or whatever, I hope this. So I'm amenable to Saturday. And if that's something we're looking at, then Dorinda should probably know that if the few people that are here want to give that a shot. Karen, do you have any thoughts as we move around? I'm going to ask you, David. I'm going to ask everybody. Just try to get a census.
About
Having
the
a town meeting on
on
Saturday.
a Saturday. I know that in Leiden, we went to that for a while and then we went back.
So this would be a special focused on the school.
Mhm.
David, you're usually not a fan of Saturdays, but maybe it's because it's a school. Maybe this is an exception as a special. Your thoughts, David?
Well, it certainly wouldn't be traditional. It might get interpreted as trying to stack the deck. But that's a select board decision.
All right, so someone will be contacting to have that conversation. Go ahead.
I just want to say, I don't understand the stacking of the deck. I think it would mean it would be an opportunity for people who actually have an invested interest in the schools for us to make that effort for them on a Saturday. I see that as like being very thoughtful about who actually will be affected by this, and that would be people with children in the schools.
All right, Steve, thank you both.
Yeah, I mean, I think Saturdays would be fine. We did have a few town meetings up in Leiden on Saturdays. I have to say, the special town meetings have, the last few that I've been to, you know, they end up with about 30 people there, you know, so I think doing it on a Saturday, opening it up so that more people can get there and not being late at night, because I don't think it's going to be gone. Well, there might be some controversy doing it, but I think a Saturday would be an okay thing to do, because I think it really is important to address the needs of the young families in the area. You know, our group has been kind of focused with people that are retired and kind of moving on, but I think we really need to have younger people there, younger families, and to have some childcare there as well. I think it'd be great, you know.
Okay, Michelle, last one, and then we'll go to the next one. Michelle, you still with us? If you are, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
She's
You're on
driving.
mute.
She's driving, so she's probably just
Uh-oh.
listening right now.
Yeah, she probably doesn't know she's on mute.
Or she's driving through the dead zone in Leiden.
Is that most of
Yeah.
Leiden?
You mean
No.
Leiden, Karen, right? You mean Leiden itself is the dead zone. So.
No. No.
All right, so that was A and B. I gave you an update on Desi. On Mars. Hopefully, we got to get them in here. We got to, as Dorinda pointed out, we got to get this moving and get things in front of people.
Alan, you need to move your mic or something. I can barely hear you. Put it in
Thank
front
you,
of your mouth.
David. Is this a little better?
I can hear it fine.
Is your volume up too, David, for me?
I can hear everybody else better than you, Alan.
Yeah, it
Yeah, I
is
don't-
going in and out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're normal, sometimes quiet.
Can you hear me now?
Alan, can you hear me?
I can hear, yes, Michelle.
Okay. I think the Leiden Select Board would be okay with Saturday. Some of them still want to do Saturday, others don't, so it's 50-50.
All right, thank you. David, is that any better? I don't know. My daughter had to play with my computer so I could have a conference call. I mean, a meeting with Desi, and I haven't been able to sort everything out. So, am I clear enough that you can just hear me? I'm just faint. If I talk louder and sound like I'm yelling at you, does that help?
It's fine. It's fine,
It's
except
okay.
just the microphone's not very good. It gets a little garbled.
The baseline was fine, but then sometimes you would fade away, and I think that may have been not speaking directly into the mic.
Thank you. All right. Just give me a thumbs down if that happens again, and I'll see if I can adjust. All right, the Abrams Group, as far as I understand in my conversation at the beginning of last week, they have what they need and they're moving forward. I'd reached out a couple times, and I don't know, they may be on vacation. So I'm going to ask them as well to maybe have our first week in September, if we can do that, for them to present their assessment so we can decide if it changes from what we had originally done. So that is another potential item. If we can get those two done, I would be pretty happy. The Odyssey, I think I had mentioned, I didn't mention on camera. Odyssey is waiting for information from Pioneer on all their methodology and what goes into the whole mix that includes their determination of the liability, and that includes Warwick, because that's all figured with Warwick, and then Warwick receives an assessment for that amount, but it's all under that one umbrella. Jake is focusing Elberwine. We had a meeting. It was a really good meeting. It was a he was asking for feedback. He wanted to share what his plan was on rolling this, or how to organize it, and what was important. We had Dorinda, Bill, myself, Michelle, and Greg. I miss anyone? And Jake. And so it was more or less a conversation of how it should be organized and what was important. And so, Greg, anything I'm missing on that? So we're waiting for him to put it together. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't there, Alan.
Oh,
I had to miss that one.
all right. Dorinda, did I miss someone else that was? I'm thinking I did. Oh, Deb Loomer. Yeah, and Deb Loomer joined us. Deb Pote, did you join us?
The meeting, with Jake.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. It was a really good meeting. Lots of questions. And I think when it was done, he said he's got pretty good direction now of what to do. He's got a lot coming up in September. So he's focusing out now on doing this media presentation. So we'll have him join us sooner than later to go over the whole thing with us, see what he needs to do, if anything, to tighten it up that per your review and comments, and then we'll get that out ASAP.
Yeah, Alan, B. Jacques did email him like within the last few hours with a number of suggestions that were actually very good. So he did respond to her and said that he was very appreciative of the suggestions, because I think she has a marketing background. She was great in the meeting that we had with the three towns, and so yeah.
So while you're on that, Greg, why don't you just cover I, since you presented to the three towns?
Oh yeah, that went very well. I spent about an hour and a half with members of the select boards and FinComs from Leiden, Bernardston, and Northfield, and basically explained where we were and what the process was going to be in the next few months, and then kind of went back over the history of why we formed and why we came to the conclusions that we did. It was a very good meeting. They asked a lot of really good questions. I was very happy with the way it ended. It seemed like everybody was very appreciative and feeling like they had been informed. We even had an employee from the district who sort of corroborated some of the things that we have found in declining enrollments, and so it was all very good. I think everybody felt good about it.
They're looking forward to a follow-up as soon as we have more information.
Yeah, I had some feedback from some people in that meeting. Yeah, very very positive, Greg. People were very pleased and kind of excited about it.
Good.
And Bijak, very smart woman.
Yeah.
She recommended Great River. That was her suggestion.
Nice.
I
All right.
also received positive feedback too, Greg.
Good. That's
Yeah. I heard it was good. I wish I could have been there, but I was at a school committee meeting.
great.
Priorities.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
I did get I got an email or copied on one from Jane Dutcher, and she was really appreciative. She got a lot of feedback. It was a productive meeting. She felt really good about it, and she was getting positive feedback. And I think it ended with something that they're very sincere in their support of the work that we're doing. So all right, so there is that one. We're just burning right through these. The Murphy, Hess, Toomey, and Leahy, that's Kevin Brosnahan. He was just looking for one more piece of information from, oh, wait a minute, wrong one. He's doing the warrant article language and the legislative language, and he had a couple of questions. I had a conference call with him last week as well. And he had some suggestions of other things he may have to look into. So he asked Greg to send the 2 regional agreements that we have, Pioneer and Gil Montague. Did you sent those off, right? And then he wanted ours as well. So he wanted to look at those as he is trying to pull that together. And so if we can make that a lighter load for him, there may be a couple of other things we may have to ask him to do to get us prepared. So that's that one. The Cosmescus or Travel Cuz bus company, who is basically the bus company, although they have Cosmescus on the side of the bus. We reached out to them, and the new ownership was very interested in the work that we're doing. They were not aware of the TransFinder reports, so they were pointed to the direction. They did find one, and they may have found the second one. So they're revisiting that to see how that would shake out. I told them that the first one that we received really wasn't that useful, and it seemed to be inflated for both times and expense. And then we had a second one done, and that was that whole concept of when you're bringing middle schools over and high schools over, that there was a transition bus and they could switch and cut the rest of that ride down. And so they were looking at the second report where that would happen, if that is still the same location. So I feel like there's so many balls in the air right now, but that's another one that's up, and I expect to hear back from them. Karen?
Yeah. Has anybody looked at start times again, or are we going to assume that the secondary school starts a little after 7 a.m.?
I don't think it would be that late, but Karen, thanks for
Late?
bringing,
That
7?
early.
I
that
mean,
early.
early, that early. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because there was, in this conversation with them, I brought up these bell schedules and what would that look like for elementary and secondary and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought something up that I said, no, that's not a go as far as I was concerned. So I guess I was talking as an educator. Their concept was, well, we could cut off time and do it this way. And this way was they would have a split schedule. And I said, that's not acceptable. Meaning one of the schools, it would be the high school, would start on time with a majority of kids. And so they would get the first period in. And then the other kids that came in would be starting, basically the second period. And I said, no, that kind of defeats the whole purpose, or one of the major things we're trying to do. We want to keep those options equal and available for all the kids, and when they're looking at their schedules. And I said, I'm speaking on my solely as not with the blessing of the planning board, but I think if I had a conversation with them, they would agree that they want all the high school kids in the building when school starts. So go on that premise and let me see what that looks like. So that's as far as I got with them. They're looking at it.
Hey, Alan, I mean, the big difference between the first study and the second study was that Cosmescus actually took charge of the second one. The first one, Finder did it, and they had very little input, I think, from Cosmescus. So,
Correct.
So that was the big difference.
You're absolutely right. And I pointed that out because you have a person that the good news is, well, there's three pieces I thought were good. One of them is, and David knows this as our town coordinator, that we had all these bus routes were put out with a common bid through FERCog. And so they basically negotiated like it was one big contract for the bus companies. And then the districts it was like a menu, could pick and choose the pieces. And so the good news is that the parameters in term of, let's say, the escalation clause or the adjustment in the mileage, all those things was put out in a broad contract. So in negotiating a new contract with a new district, the majority of those pieces are in place. The other thing is Reed, can't think of his first name, but he happens to be in charge of all three of our districts. So he's familiar with Warwick, familiar with Gil Montague and Pioneer. So I thought, well, that's really good. At least we have someone that's dealing with our three districts. So I'm really interested in seeing what they come up with. And so when we do, it'll be shared because that'll be a question people will have as well. And David, I meant to ask you, and I'll talk to you later, that I don't know if we got, as a select board, if we got a copy of this FERCog contract with this bus stuff, but we'll talk later because I think I'd like to take a look at that to see how that might play out with what we're doing.
I'm sure we got it. I mean, we felt fortunate that we got a legal opinion that the way that it was procured, we as a new district could just jump in. I think the rationale was we were a member community of Pioneer, and so we're effectively included in the bid. So we got that same day rate that the other towns did without going back out.
I forgot about that. Yeah, thank you. Long range plan. So that was, I gotta tell you, that was very unusual. We gave it to Desi as a rough draft, asking what I was looking for mainly. That was last Thursday. They haven't had a chance to really view it, but I really wanted them to see it to get an idea of what's missing. What is there anything in it that you want to see in it, or that you want us to embellish or talk more about? When I told her about the process as a superintendent and having a variety of people and working on it 7 or 8 months, and I said, and you're asking it, in a couple weeks, she just said, Alan, you're a superintendent. We got a new superintendent coming in. He's not superintendent, commissioner. He is not familiar with Massachusetts. So ask yourself, what would you want to know if you were the commissioner and you were reading this report to understand regional school districts and what this was about? So I said, okay, it's not how I usually approach it, but I will do that. And you'll notice when you read it that I don't think, Greg, you had an opportunity to put in all the links. So I added, click here or look here for more information, with the hopes being that she wanted it, how do you do a long range plan with 8 to 12 pages? So to sort of get around that, there were comments about a section of where we were, and then the link is going to be attached to the end of that. And if the commissioner or whoever wants to learn more about it, they can click on that and look at all the detail for, for what Mars did or Mary Broderick and so forth.
Alan,
So,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I put in all the links already. So
Did you?
well, yeah, before I sent it off to Desi.
Okay, because I added more on Thursday night.
Well, then probably not, because you asked me to send it to him on Wednesday before the meeting.
Right, right. So I added more as I was reviewing it. So just look again.
So is long range plan the same as educational plan?
That's a great question, David. I was trying to discern what it is, because you and I and all of us know what it was, 100-something pages on our educational plan.
300
And-
or 400.
Yeah. And yeah, it was we had like 40 people working on it.
We wouldn't go away. That was the bottom line.
Yeah.
Michelle and the same people you met with were just back and forth, and we answered every objection they had at great length, back and forth, and then tied it all together. At the other extreme, I mean, we didn't have a lot of cases where, I don't think there's but one where a community left the regional district. That was Worthington, and their plan was 3 pages.
Yeah.
Which is almost harder to do than 300.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, David, I'm glad you brought that up. So here's how I approached it. What was basing my conversation on Michelle and Christine? Here's what my takeaway was, and this is how I wrote it. What's the vision for the district? You know, what are you trying to do? Well, we're trying to have you know, the enrollment is such that there's more opportunities for kids. What have you done to back up that? Well, that's all the people that we engaged in over the last 5 years to do that work and to give us that information. And then what are the next steps going forward? So those were the 3 major things that they were looking at. There's one other piece I don't have yet that I'm just starting to work on now. One of them is I've got to come up with a budget. They were very interested because I was talking about this is going to require money. And we need the support of the state, DESI, legislators to, if we're, you know, if this is voted, we need to be able to take care of part-time superintendent, might be a stipend on an existing one or someone coming in, business administrator, special ed administrator. Those 3 pieces, possibly human resource. We need money for negotiations. We have a number of collective bargaining agreements that we have to do. And so there's going to be substantial for for legal fee. So they were very interested, you know, we don't have that. And I'm not sure Jake actually got to that point. I'm going to have another call to him. So I plan on putting together a pretty hefty list of all the things, including, I said, we need money for teachers. I said, if we want this to really work, we need to bring all the teachers together to have conversations and to develop a curriculum that they all can, you know, buy into. That means we need to pay them a stipend. You know, they're not gonna, and they shouldn't be asked to be doing this, you know, on their own. So so I made a list of what the money, why we need money, and I haven't nailed down how much each one of those would cost. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Alan, I just want to just interject that all the links are in. I just double checked the live document. Your last edit was on 12 o'clock on Thursday, not in the evening. So
Okay, good.
check the history of it. So everything's in there.
Thank you. Karen.
I have a question about the section. Can I ask about the section that's programming, curriculum, and transition?
Sure.
The bold part about the 2 missions.
Yes.
If you click on the links, those are not the missions as they're written on the links. For instance, for Gil Montague, there's only a 1-sentence mission, and that is the first thing that whoever wrote this put, but then they added some other things. And as far as Pioneer, you didn't mention heterogeneous grouping, which has been the heart of the curriculum for Pioneer for 30, 40 years. So I think, and you've heard me harp on this before, it needs to be here. Okay?
Okay, so would you mind, Karen, writing me a little blurb about that and I can insert it? What I did do is this. I went to the website.
Yes.
And I pulled off the website exactly what they had at the beginning for both districts. Then I had to read that and I think I tried to make it obvious by going ... and sort of paraphrased. So you're right. What I thought the other piece was saying. I don't see heterogeneous in any of their documents. If you have it and you know it's on either in their mission or vision, please get me that.
It's right in the mission on the link that you have there.
All right. Did I cut it off or?
Yes.
Okay, I'll put the whole thing.
You joined a couple of sentences and you left it out of that sentence you joined.
Greg, can you go on the website and do that for me? You disappeared. Is he gone? I think we scared him away. Oh, no.
It says in a heterogeneous setting. And it left out collaborating too. two very important things,
So
I
Greg,
think.
can you just grab that link after and put that in there?
Yeah,
then
no,
the-
I'll copy and paste it. Yeah.
And then Karen, the hardest part now was
Mhm.
trying to take that because they want, what's the vision of the district?
Yeah,
So I took my best stab at that and then made it very clear that in order to have buy-in, from the staff, this is part of
Right,
what I'm
right,
talking about for the
right.
collaboration and for paying people stipends, they need to come up with one for this new district. I'm just
Right.
doing one to fulfill Desi's ask. Give us something
Uh-huh,
that is a direction so they can see. So
Yeah.
that was my best guess at looking at both and making something up that I thought represented a little from each.
what I find when comparing what you did in joining them is that some of the words are more generalized rather than specific. For instance, the issue of character. I don't know, but some portions of what people would call character are in the Pioneer mission, like respect. Okay.
I thought
Respect.
respect was also in Gilmonica. Worded.
No, in the one you wrote. when
Oh,
you Put it
yes.
together.
You don't
It
like
says
that word?
respect for diversity, but not, instead of things like character, you can put respect for all, like it says in the mission of Pioneer. Universal respect is in their mission.
Would you like to, believe me, I
No.
would like any help. Would you like to do some edits for me and get them over to Greg and he can insert them in?
I just find it very difficult to join those two now. And earlier you had said this is going to be up to those other groups.
Right.
I know that you think that the commissioner or whoever reads this is going to want that, but they should well understand that that comes from the stakeholders.
Right. And so I made it clear.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I made it clear. You're asking for a vision.
Yeah.
Here is some of the commonalities between the two districts.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's a vision. And of course, this needs to be worked on by the staff. I thought that was pretty clear. So it's not final. It's a work in progress. This is, I think it would be, I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a pretty easy, smooth transition. And I think they're going to have good conversations because we heard from staff, they felt that you could have both heterogeneous and you get homogeneous. So I recall that at a meeting.
Okay.
Greg, I'm not making that up, am I, Greg? Did you hear that as well?
I'm still looking for Montague's full mission statement. It seems like it's cut short on the, I mean,
Yeah.
the PVRSD is fine. I copied and pasted that into it, but I'm looking for the Montague one, the full. Statement.
Greg just pulled up, I mean, not Greg, David just pulled up, I didn't see it all because it went away, but he pulled up Pioneers.
Yeah.
And they're committed to learning, a learning environment. I thought I had that in there, but so Karen, what would you like? Would you like this section redone and you want to,
I'm sorry, I can't take that on right now. I've got to plan for a memorial service and things
Right.
like that,
do you
so.
want me to put in there somewhere along the line that it's very important that heterogeneous opportunities or whatever is something that the staff discusses or something? I don't know what you were looking for.
I think if you're trying to combine the two missions, that, yes, that has to be discussed by the stakeholders, not us.
And so that was made clear in there that that's something.
Yeah,
that
it was in a different section though. It wasn't in that paragraph.
I can add something to that at the end, to repeat it twice, that this is something that's important, comes from the staff.
Mhm.
Having my daughter go there, many years ago, and I was telling her about class and class sizes. She couldn't, I don't know what to say. She was sad that it had become so small and talked about some of the opportunities that she had.
Mhm.
I don't know with the number of teachers that have left, those that are there, what their training is,
Mhm.
that how do I say this? How if their classes are really meeting everyone's needs by staying or having um heterogeneous classes because of some of the feedback that I've gotten from parents and from kids. So I try to stay away from that and let the educators figure that out when the time comes.
I understand that criticism, and usually the critics that I heard from were the parents who had high aspirations for their kids. Not that the others did not, but really, I would call them. I don't know. The thing I heard most often is those other kids are holding my children back. But I never saw any evidence of that at all. We didn't teach to the middle. We had high expectations for everyone. And even in my some years I had classes as small as 8 students, and I didn't see a difference.
So let me just say this, Karen, you were
Mhm.
trained. You received when we were derailing the track school with
Mhm.
Everett Masterson and Kevin Courtney.
Mhm.
There were teachers that were highly steeped professional teachers trained in this multidisciplinary approach
Yeah.
and how to address that. I'm sorry, I don't see that kind of expertise that you've developed when you were there. What I hear is that I'm taking my kid out and I'm going to this school because I feel that they can be challenged more in this school. I hear that I put my kid into a charter school or a school choice. And again, I everyone has their opinion. You've got people that really like Pioneer for what it offers. You have other people that they don't think it's meeting their needs. I'm trying to stay out of that debate, and because I
Mhm.
feel both school districts are doing a really good job given the circumstances they have, and the professionals are working really hard to make it work for them. The sustainability and the burnout factor and the pressure on
Mhm.
staff and kids when you do that are real. And I feel that the best I could do, because I'm not going to criticize either school. They're working
No,
hard. But
I'm not
I think by
doing that.
pulling those resources together with these different perspectives is going to offer more to our kids, and they're going to have more opportunities, and they're going to gain from the expertise of the Pioneer teachers and the Gilmonica teachers. And more in this case, in my opinion, is better. So I'll see what I can do.
I want to add, as somebody who has seen her daughter recently, 2021 graduate, and also working at a high school with shrinking population, Greenfield High School. It is absolutely not okay that AP classes are combined with regular classes. And that is what's happened at Pioneer and happened throughout the years that my daughter was there. So I am not at all a fan of combining AP. AP classes are supposed to be separate out. Absolutely. It's like 2 completely different curriculums. And there is no way there is appropriate teaching happening when you have an AP class of 3 kids in a gen ed literature class or history class or science class that my daughter participated in. So if there are AP classes, they have to be separated out.
Yeah, and I guess, Karen, I'm going to come to bat for you for a minute. I agree with what she's saying. I also think, and this is what I'm hearing from the staff, that we do not want a track school. We don't want a guidance counselor saying, "Oh, you can't take that. That's too hard for you."
Oh, God,
You know,
yeah.
we do not
No.
want that. So I'm very clear what we don't want. A kid could excel. I don't want a track system. A kid could excel in math and can be in that class, maybe struggles a little bit, needs more help in English. And so there's a class that will be more tailored for their needs. That's what we want first, to take the kids where they are and challenge them and move them forward. And I think we can do this with this combined staff.
And I also
So-
want to say, again, having been in the current school system, I don't even know any schools in Franklin County that have a. When I went to Mahar, I graduated in 1985. There was a low division, there was a middle division, and there was a high division. And that's the way I think all the high schools were. That does not happen anymore. There's usually a gen ed, and then there's AP. At Greenfield High School, they sometimes have advanced classes, like for kids who are advanced and there's no AP. So that would happen at the 9th or 10th grade level. And those kids are going to go on to AP classes typically. And I had a daughter who graduated from Pioneer. I'm working at Greenfield High School, and I can't think of a guidance teacher out there worth their salt who would look at a kid and say, "You're only going to be in this class." I think all guidance counselors work very hard to look at the individual student, and because these schools are so small, there is absolutely no way they're not catering to each kid. Sometimes there's a kid who's taking AP math, and they're in a gen ed literature class. So I think for the most part, because these populations are so small, there's no kid getting lost in the system. I think we have to have faith in what the teachers and the counselors, the guidance counselors who are working in these schools, I don't think are tracking kids below their capacity. I think they're always working really hard to elevate them. And I can tell you at Greenfield High School, they don't want kids to drop down or drop out of an AP class. They work incredibly hard to keep them there. Okay, because it looks bad for one thing, and they make sure they make every effort to support that student for success. So I can't even have this conversation because it pisses me off.
I'm sorry if I pissed you off. I got no special training in what you would call heterogeneous grouping. I just saw it everywhere I was. And so I learned how to do it. And you had the kid who just sat in the back and never participated in anything. And then you would see him at the 10-year reunion, and he would say, "I was listening. I knew you cared. And I have my own genetics research company now in Germany." You don't know what a kid is going through. And, it turned out that things at home were really, really bad when he was in that class. So, I don't know.
So I think where I'm coming from, and I tried to make this in the report, is we're going to leave it up to the professionals.
Yes, I
to
agree.
do with that.
But
So-
I think to skip the fact that Pioneer has heterogeneous grouping in their mission, and some of the teachers there I know practice it. They were my colleagues, but the new ones may have no idea, just as you alluded to. Teaching is a lifelong learning
Right.
profession, for
And
sure.
Pioneer has that. And they do say that. So
Yeah,
we'll go
okay.
back and
Gotta
capture
move.
more.
Yeah.
We'll capture more of that, okay, Karen, in
Okay,
that.
thanks.
I'm
thanks.
fine with that. I don't want to, I'm trying not to mislead. I'm just trying to be as inclusive as I could. All right?
I mean, I do have a
I-
question. Though. Wasn't Pioneer looking to go down the route of international baccalaureate?
No, not
I thought they.
not since
they were
I was
considering
there, or maybe I've only been off the school committee for what, a year or so, and I don't think so, right, Michelle?
No comment.
No comment?
Yeah, well, I can
Yeah.
only say this. I was at a meeting where we
Uh-huh.
were doing with Julie Burke was there. We were doing a presentation. It was
Julie.
at the, way back when Julie Burke was there as the
Mhm.
chair.
Mhm.
And we were doing a presentation in the Pioneer Auditorium. And the superintendent stood up and talked about having this, looking into a baccalaureate program and what this was about, which was
Mhm.
interesting because Greg is intimately familiar with that,
Mhm.
has taught that. And
Mhm.
Well, I've taught both international baccalaureate and AP.
Mhm.
I'm very familiar and have been trained in both.
Mhm.
So,
I was there at that meeting.
Yeah, I mean,
Alan, and that's
I'll-
exactly what the superintendent said.
I will just, my only comment is that there's no sort of either or.
No,
There just really isn't. I mean, you can say it was heterogeneous, but when you're teaching a class and you have, for instance, like international baccalaureate, you have a standard level and high level, and they can be in the same class. And it makes it challenging in some respects because you have to basically be teaching two different curriculums in the same classroom, which is what I had to do.
hmm hmm
It it's and to your point, Karen, it can be nice because it's inclusive and it brings in more voices. When you have especially low enrolled classes, you're sort of forced almost into those situations because you just don't have
right.
sources to be able to teach. So I just don't think it's as much of an issue once you expand it out. I think teachers are going to gravitate to what they know and what they've been trained to do, and they will often challenge students in a classroom where they're confined to all of them being in the classroom to
hmm
giving them a somewhat more challenging curriculum. And I mean, it's not cut and dry. So that's just my comments. I think we try to make sure that we're challenging all students, to Deb's point.
Yeah.
And that
I
may be
understand.
by offering different classes, because that can be a very good approach to doing it in some circumstances, and in other circumstances, it's, the way IB is set up. They're very different curriculums.
Yeah, they are.
AP is very much very narrow focused and very deep, whereas IB is very broad and very narrow.
hmm
Well,
Not a
I
lot.
would hope if the schools, the district combines, I would really hope that they would be able to separate AP classes out from a non-AP class, because
Well, and yeah, I was
it,
going to say,
it
here's the
is
thing.
impossible to do it well. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not possible to do it well.
Yeah,
If you have
larger
3 or
enrolled
4 kids,
schools can offer both. I mean, you look at Sturgis out on the Cape, and they offer both IB and AP because they're big enough to be able to do it. And so you got students that gravitate to different sort of approaches to learning, and that's fine. You can do it within a high school of, over 300, right? I mean, you can set up your classes that way, and you can have those different approaches. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So, anyways, that's it. I'm
no,
done.
All right.
but my
Sorry.
point is, regular ed and AP or IB, whatever, but I can't even think about the possibility of we combine this district and then we just put everyone in the one class. I would be out.
No, when they get to a certain level, they get to choose their classes, and certain ones have reputations for what is involved because they know people who have taken the classes already and they know what they're signing up for. By the time you get to 10th, 11th, 12th grade, you can choose a lot your own. Another critique I've heard of the smaller school is that you can't take 2 courses that are electives because they meet at the same time. I want to tell you that my brother, who went to a high school of 2,000 students, had to make a choice in his senior year between continuing with band and taking the 4th year of a foreign language. There are always going to be scheduling conflicts, and by nature, kids want to take everything.
Right.
I love that. I love that.
So let's have a system that minimizes that. If that, I think being larger can do that.
Yeah.
So let me say this, because I would like to not have this. I mean, I gave you the overview of the purpose of why I was writing this.
Yeah.
Meeting their perspective.
Yeah.
It's in flux. I would like to have, even if it's by consensus, vote so it's not, oh, this is what Alan Genovese did. I want it clear that I had it. You guys had it. You reviewed it. You made comment, so that I can say the planning board reviewed it, and
Yeah.
and understands that, that there will be changes to it, but this is our long-range plan. I would have called it a vision, but that's what they're putting on it. So,
Yeah,
would it be okay to just take a quick vote on that so I can check this off that it wasn't just
can I
one? Yeah.
send you a couple of,
Please.
like, oh, what am I gonna say here? There's some not typos,
Please.
but
Yep.
repeated words one after the other and that kind of thing.
I would very much appreciate that. So I'll
Okay.
make the edits. We'll capture more of the mission that has heterogeneous in it. So they see that that was a part of one of the districts. And then I'll just say, I'm going to add the new section of how much it will cost. And then I'll wait for their input and see if there's anything else they want. Okay?
I'll make a
Yeah.
motion to accept the long-range plan with those revisions and edits and whatnot, as long as there's
I'll second that.
no major changes.
Great. Greg, seconded by Karen. Roll call. Any other discussion? Dorinda,
Yes.
Alan Genovese, yes. Karen,
Yes,
David,
Yes,
Steve,
Yes,
Deborah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Michelle
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Okay, we only have two other things in that get a calendar. So Deb, I know you had a gathering and got some input from people. And if you could share that. Did anyone else have an opportunity yet? I have two names and two folks that I can do gatherings with. So that's where I'm at. Anyone else? So the gathering was we're trying to get small groups together to hear, basically to have a conversation about what this is about, and then listen to people and what their questions are, what their concerns are.
I'm getting together with a few families from both Montague and Gill, so I've already set that up. But
Okay,
I also
Deb?
want to point out at the three-town meeting last week, they really strongly encourage that we have town by town meetings, so informational sessions. So we can sort of plan that.
Oh, okay, not by like one of the district, the three
No,
towns
by
here.
like opening it up to the town for townspeople
Okay.
to come and ask questions.
Leiden is planning that.
Great.
Okay. And what we've tried to do is what we do for one, we try to do for everyone. And we did that right through the thing. If we could get information from one district and not another, a lot of times we just didn't do either, just so that we always try to have a play.
Well, I think at this point, Alan, we can just kind of run the forum similarly to what we did for the tri-town leaders, which is just, basically bring our short presentation, then really open it up for questions.
Okay. All right. So we'll coordinate that as well. Once we get the dates, Dorinda, on a Saturday, what you think is possible, then we can try to back into that to make sure that we have these in all the towns, these town presentations. So Deb, did you want to share what you got for feedback? I don't know if you did with this group.
Well, I gotta go. So
Okay.
if
Okay.
you wanted me to talk about the mailings,
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do that, and then we'll hit this other one later. The
so yeah,
mailings,
I mean, I
yes.
did meet with people. I did share out. I talked about it with during that meeting with Jake. I don't know what else to say except that everyone should be making an effort. If I, the introvert, can make an effort, and seriously, I met with Dorinda. She was great. I managed to meet with three parents of people. I don't know these people at all. And I sat down with them in the library. So other people should step up. It can't just be Alan and Greg and me. So I challenge all of you to find at least one person who's got a child in the school and sit down and have a conversation with them. If I can write an article, I challenge everyone here to do something that puts us out there, because I know I had 1,000 people who read mine, and and I know I saw Greg's in the Montague Recorder. We all have to do the work, all of us. So I'm sorry, but there's really kind of no excuse at this point. We have to just take a deep breath and do a little more work.
Has anyone seen the second article come out yet in the Reporter?
No.
Okay.
No, but I
So you
didn't,
did, Brenda? Okay, good, thanks.
Yeah.
Great.
And it does get people talking.
Yep.
So I want to just say I called 3 of the 5 towns, and thank you, Michelle, because you covered me for Leiden and Bernston, which I'm grateful for, sort of by accident because of your mailing.
Mhm.
Everyone I spoke to, they all knew about it. They were interested in helping. Some of them can print labels. Adams does seem the best place to go. Everyone, all 3 townspeople that I spoke to at Gill and Northfield and Montague, they gave me the numbers, the number of registered voters. They have the list. They can let us know who's on this list pretty easily. We just have to give them enough notice. It will cost total thousands of dollars to do this, but all of them agreed it was the best way to do it, to get to hit everybody. And they recommended, I think one of them recommended doing it, I think it was Gil, with their the town newsletter, that the letter that we create could go out with the town newsletter, and that would save some money.
Yes.
And that's going again September. So if we're able to write a 1-page synopsis, which I think we can do from Alan's letter that he wrote, maybe just pare it down a little bit. I thought that was good. And then also put some dates, or a date for Gil of where a meeting can be that someone's willing to go to give a talk or presentation. Northfield, it probably costs, they said, about $1,200. And again, from Adams, there are 1,800 registered voters in Northfield. There are 7,200 in Montague. They said they'd be willing to they usually stuff things themselves, but they can again give us the list, and again they would be able to do labels for us, which was nice. Yeah, they everyone was very supportive of those 3 towns. So, I mean, I can write it up what I got from each one of them, but I'm happy to. I don't want to say I want to spearhead this, but I think people from these respective towns, I mean, obviously I'm willing to do Northfield to land on a date. I don't want to do it by myself. So if anyone wants to do it with me, you have to be enthusiastic about this and just say, I don't know when you don't know, but people are willing to listen. And
Yeah, let me know, Deb, what the date is.
for Gil.
For Northfield even. I mean,
Oh yeah, because that would be great. I do think Northfield, Bernston could be a crowd of people who would be good not to be there alone.
All right, thanks, Deb. I appreciate it so much. You're a go-getter. You get stuff done.
Well,
Much appreciated.
I just want to say, the thing I worry the most is people standing up and going to a meeting or going to town saying, I don't know anything about this.
Mhm.
And I don't want that to happen.
Right.
There's no reason that they should not know about this, but it can't be because of us. It just can't be. We have to keep, even writing a letter to the editor. I was hoping one of you would write a letter about my article, just to put it out there.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
say, totally agree with Deb Potee. I've been on this committee, or I have a student, but nobody did.
Not yet.
It's just like, well,
It's coming.
the window is closing. Like, people are gonna be like, what was that article?
Yeah, I've been
You
doing it on Facebook under the Recorder Facebook page. I went back and forth with Mike Naughton, I don't know how many times, and I think I pretty much hit that debate with him. So, you
gotta just jump
at the
in.
end, he was acknowledging that he agreed with me on everything, and I was like, okay, well there you go. So
Well, you have to just, all you have to do is just keep the feedback loop going, in positive, constructive ways, not combative ways.
Yeah.
But people
Exactly.
just need to know, especially if I can say, I'm speaking to parents of children who are 3 and 4 and in the elementary school. Those are the people we have to keep focusing on.
Right.
Not the alums, not the people who have strong feelings about we like it small and cozy. You have to focus on the future. And you have to be able to say, I've had conversations with at least one person who feels this way.
Yeah.
All have to try.
I have had conversations with, let's say, it's a resistance group that I belong to. These are mostly older folks, and that's what we have in Leiden, a lot of older folks. So they have to hear what's going on too. And I've just told them what I know and what I don't know at this point. But they didn't know anything about it. They just heard that it was going on.
Well, then Karen, then you need to spearhead a meeting at Leiden Town Hall and say, I'm going to be here, you know, on these days. Anyone who wants to come and hear about it. I do think these intimate conversations, they are a springboard for other conversations.
Yeah.
And people could not have been more interested, you know,
Yeah.
people just didn't know anything about it.
I know, but if you have to get the vote at a town meeting, you have to reach all demographics too.
Oh, I don't disagree, but I guess my point is, if you had a conversation with a parent of a future student, then you have more weight when you talk to somebody who's not of that demographic. Do you know what I mean? Like if I can say, oh, I've talked to 3 parents and they had these strong feelings about what they would like in a high school, I can say that to anyone who is sort of challenged by change. That's my point. Do you understand? Like,
I understand being challenged by change. I think
no.
a lot of schools are stuck in the 1930s.
Well, but my point is, if you actually just have a conversation with somebody at the town hall or the library,
Yeah,
who does have children, then you take that conversation and you share it with your older friend community and say,
Mhm.
wow, I've been talking to this because that's powerful. I mean, I talked to those parents. I said, if only you would come to a town hall meeting and just stand up and say, my son, daughter, child is going to be coming here in 8 years, and I definitely want them to be able to participate in soccer. I definitely don't want them to be in a class of 5. Those 4 parents I spoke to, one of them is sending their kids to tech. The other 3 were horrified at the size of the school. One of them said, I would love to be able to, how about having a college track at the tech? Why don't we try to work towards that? I was like, that then what happens to the public schools?
Yes, right.
Please don't think that way, but I understand why you're thinking that way, because you want to go to a thriving school. I understand that.
Yeah.
But let's make these schools thriving. These schools that take everybody. We need them. We can't just turn the focus and have like a satellite school that's part of tech. It doesn't make sense. But I understand why she said that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just want you guys to get fired up.
Yeah,
I'm a little fired up.
I've been
and
talking to
you too.
parents, Deb.
have
You're you are fired up for sure, Deb.
and you
Yeah.
have the passion. You have the passion, Deb. You keep that
Yeah.
going.
Well,
We all
Deb,
got
We
different
just have to
stages.
see it through. We only have
Yeah,
a few months
yeah,
left. We
okay.
all have to hang in there.
yeah, I'm right there with you, Deb. I mean, I got very fired up at the meeting with the Tri-Town leaders.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, in a good way. I didn't throw anyone under the bus. You know, because there were some questions about Pioneer School Committee, and I said, look, if I were on the Pioneer School Committee, I would be trying to champion the school that we have and the district that we have. I said,
Mhm.
because that's basically your job. You know, you're trying to attract students. So, but I just said, look, there's real challenges here. When when you have a high school that was at 343 students in Pioneer in 2012, and now you're at 112 students this past year. I mean, and you had 165 students 3 years ago, and now you're down to 112. I said, you have to look at the percentage drop is enormous, and what the impact is on your programs when that happens. And then it made a huge difference to have somebody there who was in the district that could say, this is true.
Yep.
As much as I love Pioneer, this is true. We've watched entire, departments get gutted. We've watched programs disappear. We've watched teams disappear. And there's nothing wrong with being small. There's nothing wrong with, it's not to say that the teachers there aren't giving excellent instruction. That's true, right? That's not the point. The point is you're losing students. If these, if your districts are so great, you would think you would be growing with students, and it's just not. I said it's not your fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's structural declines in population, demographic changes. Your population is getting older, and there's more. There's obviously more choices out there, but ultimately, you can't blame it on tech. You can't blame it on choice when you look at a district that's gone from 1,200 and almost 50 down to 500 and 80 students. You just that's just structural declines. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
People leave for more possibility. They don't leave for fewer options or fewer possibilities. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense at all.
yeah.
I mean, I can tell you a very brief story. We had a student at Greenfield High School who left from Pioneer to go. We made every effort. We had one school of choice seat. We made every effort for this kid to go to play track and get his AP classes. And we let him in. We made, oh my gosh, every effort. That student is now going to Frontier because he got to Greenfield and he looked around and he said, not enough stuff for me. I need to go someplace with even more stuff.
Yeah.
Happening everywhere.
I mean,
It
my daughter is a prime example. I mean,
Yes.
she went to a private school that was very low and declining enrollment. She left in her senior year. She could have stayed. She left because the enrollment was so small, and she wanted to make sure that she could play soccer in her senior year. And she wound up going to Greenfield because Greenfield, she knew that it was going to have a soccer team, and she had played with a lot of those players on her club team in the summer. So, I mean, it's so challenging for small schools to make it work because if you don't have a football team, no one's going to your school that wants to be on a football team. No one. I
Okay,
mean, and
Okay.
that's so yeah, those are the kind of messages
Yeah.
that really ring true. And again, you have to get back to it's not their fault. It's not these districts' fault. It's just structural declines.
Right.
okay, so
Yeah.
a couple things. One, when we gotta wrap this up. I'd
Mhm.
like to, an hour and a half would be done. One of them is, if you look at this cover letter, the last one, some of the things, I'm wondering if, like Michelle, you could clean some of the stuff out, particularly maybe even this last one, and put it in one of the newsletters. If each town, there's a lot of
Yeah.
information that we've put
We'll
out
put
there.
it in.
So if we could get that stuff in the newsletter that every town has, that would be helpful. At least give them an update. Even this last, thanks, Deb. Even this last one, that we're looking at open, we're looking at curriculum, we're looking at, so that people go, oh, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of information we'll be looking for. So I'll just put that out there for thought. We have a meeting. So I'm gonna go down to,
I just wanted to tell you, I have been speaking to parents. And Leiden is planning its own school forum. The select board decided this back in May, but they didn't want to do it in the summer. And they want to hear from the parents about education. So Leiden's doing it on their own, but they're going to incorporate the 6 town planning meeting. So I just wanted to get that word out there. And we have a newsletter that I can surely put things in.
do you have a date? Do
So
you have a date for that, Michelle?
I
No.
think we were talking September 25th and 26th. So I can email it to you.
Yeah, get it to us. I want you
Yeah,
on the calendar.
because
so
I
can
was
go.
just at our regional advisory committee meeting, and we just had a public forum. So we're doing a survey and another. So I'm getting very mixed up on the dates
Yeah, okay.
because they're not in front of me.
So
But we
upcoming,
are moving forward and to talk to parents.
so upcoming things, just so you know, I'm gonna start working on a letter to the representatives, the senator and our 2 representatives, to give them an update on where we are, what we're planning, because they need to know up front that if this were to pass, they need to be championing funding for this.
Mm,
So we got to pull them back in now and say, here's where we are. And so, Greg, I'm writing something up. I'll get it to you. We can look at it. But an informational thing to them is going to be important, particularly if Desi is going to be bringing something to the commissioner to take a look at. All right.
Okay.
And then for our meeting, we have August 26th. I'm hoping to have two things happen at that meeting. And then September 9th, maybe the others can be done by email, you know, if we get, or by, you know, just a notice in terms of, here's a document from, Odyssey.
Well,
And
yeah,
then we just have a
I
meeting
would
to
say,
review.
why don't we call this meeting, you know, wrap it up.
mm.
Yeah.
We can send out, you know, we've already covered all the documents that are coming. We'll send them out as soon as we get them and we feel that they're ready to be reviewed by the board. So that when we go into August 26th, we can actually vote on some of these things and hopefully we'll have a lot of those things. Because, you know, right now it's the dog days of summer. You know, it wouldn't matter if we set up a public meeting right now. Nobody'd probably come anyways because it's in the middle.
Right.
No, not that.
So, you know,
No, I,
once school is up and running again, you know, it's going to be off to the races. So
can we add these dates? Can we do September 9, 16, and 30 and put those down as tentative? Those are all Tuesdays.
yeah, let's just record those. Why don't we check to see? We can send out an email and double check on those dates because we're going to need to probably
We're
meet.
gonna need 3 in September to
Yeah.
get this done, so we have October, all of October, some of September and all of October and half of November to get this done.
All right,
I'm
let's send them
thinking,
out as placeholders.
okay, and Dorinda, the latter part of November is probably better, maybe just before the Saturday before
Okay.
Thanksgiving or something, but talk to your folks about
Mm.
that.
Mm.
Yeah, I was gonna try to think about if there's any special events in November. Usually that's like, I don't know, the tech school craft fair is that day in this one before Thanksgiving, but I couldn't think of anything else.
There's the
kind of a
football
big deal.
games. There's the football games, right? They have
Yeah.
their Thanksgiving, Turkey Day football games on Saturday.
Yeah, I
So
mean, you could do that. You could do a town meeting in the afternoon, though. I mean, well, you know, as opposed to in the evening.
Oh, no, we do it in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
we-
morning. I was gonna say mornings are
Yeah,
good.
we wouldn't do it later in the day.
No,
No, I agree. I mean,
morning's a good idea, actually.
yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
what
we
Gil,
Yeah,
start
Gil,
at
of course.
Gil
9,
often does. Yeah, we've done Saturday mornings before.
yeah.
starting at 9. Yep.
All right, check that out, Dorinda.
Okay.
All right, so any other business? I
Motion to,
thank you for participating. It was good. More information,
motion to
more
adjourn.
work to
Do I
do.
have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Right, excellent.
Let the record show it was unanimous by vote and everyone said aye.
Yeah,
All
well,
right,
we
All right.
don't have a quorum anymore.
Bye.
7:57. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, David.
Bye.